School's out, the heat is already here, and if your kids have said I'm bored even once this week, this episode is for you. Today, we are talking about getting your kids into the garden this summer in a way that is actually fun for them and for you. Not a chore, not a lesson plan, just some good old fashioned muddy hands and garden magic right here in your Texas backyard. I've put together a free guide 15 fun and easy gardening activities to do with your kids, all designed for our Texas weather. We are going to walk through 5 of them together today. And I will tell you exactly how to grab all 15 at the end of this episode. So, stay with me. Hey, Vibrant Gardeners. Welcome back to Grow with Vibrant Rainbow Gardens episode. I'm Vandhana, a Houston-based organic gardening guide, and I'm so glad you're here for this one. If you're new here, welcome to the garden family. This podcast is for beginner organic gardeners right here in the Houston and across all the Gulf Coast. We talk real talk, Zone 9B, reality, no fluff gardening that actually works in our climate. All right, the garden is calling. Let's go. Before we get into the activities, I want to reframe something. I hear this a lot from the moms I work with. The garden feels like one more thing, one more project, one more thing to manage on top of everything else that is already on your plate in summer. Here is what I want you to hear instead. The garden is not one more thing on your to-do list. It is a thing that gets your kids off yours. When your kids have a job in the garden, even a tiny one, they are occupied. They are curious. They are learning something real. And you get to be present with them without having to entertain them every single minute. And I want to be honest with you about our summers, Texas summers. Yes, it is hot. It is really genuinely spectacularly hot. But there are real things to do out there at the right time of the day, in the right season. The guide I made for you is built around our reality. We're going to talk about the heat strategy before we are done today. Our first garden with my kids was not some grand plan. It was a school project. I want to say pre-K, maybe kindergarten. We took a milk bottle, just a regular milk bottle, filled it with soil and planted some herb seeds and set it right there on my kitchen counter. It actually moved back to the backyard patio once it started growing. A milk bottle herb garden. And that turned into one of the most productive tiny herb garden we've ever had. It lasted actually years before I finally had the heart to let it go. And honestly, I still almost feel guilty about it. But here is how it started. My elder one was about, I want to say 3 or 4. She was not doing any chores yet at that point. She was just sitting next to me and pulling at some of the leaves, working on her motor skills the way toddlers do with anything they can reach. We were just putting in the soil, playing with the soil, throw some seeds in there. I was just gardening, and she was right there with me. And somewhere in all of that, without any of us actually planning it, she became a tiny gardener. And then there were mini carrots, like literally babies in cloth diapers pulling out carrots from a bed. Their hands were covered in soil, and then they were pulling tiny carrots. I think they were at one point even wearing backpacks to the backyard. Went on a mini excursion there and pulled out the carrots and put them in their backpacks straight out of the container. It was still one of my favorite memories. And they had no idea they were gardening. They were just having fun. And that is exactly the point. You do not have to make it a lesson. You do not need a perfect setup. You do not need a green thumb. You just need to let them be there with you. Okay, I pulled 5 activities out of the free guide to share with you today. And I chose these 5 specifically because they cover different ages, different spaces, and different amounts of effort. Whether you have a toddler on your hip or a teenager who needs something to do, there is something here for you. Let's go through them one by one. Activity 1, grow a snack garden. This one is exactly what it sounds like. You grow the snack, then you eat the snack. Here's the thing about kids and food. Kids who actually grow their food eat their food. I've seen this over and over again with my own children, with the families I work with. Something shifts when a child has watched something grow from seed. Beautiful thing about a Texas snack garden in summer is that you're working with our climate, not against it. The crops that belong out there right now, like cherry tomatoes, beans, okras, bell peppers. And if you want something really fun, Mexican sour gherkins. They look like tiny little watermelons. They taste like crunchy cucumber. And kids absolutely lose their mind over them in the best possible way. These plants are not just surviving our summer, they are thriving in it. That is what I want you to hold on to. There is a season for everything here, and right now is the season for these. Activity 2, we are going to talk about sprouting seeds in a jar. This is the one I started with my own kids. It still is one of my favorite, especially for young gardeners. You don't need a yard, you don't need a garden bed, you don't need a jar, a bean from your pantry, and a curious kid. Here is what you do. So grab some beans or dried peas from your kitchen, lay them on damp paper towel inside a clear jar, and set the jar on a windowsill. That's it. Within a few days, you see roots pushing out, then a tiny green shoot, then the whole little plant emerging right in front of your eyes, right there on your kitchen counter. You actually don't even need soil. You can just put it in a glass jar. That way you can see through, or even a plastic jar would work. A wet paper towel will help you keep it humid without drying out, which is very important for a seed to germinate. If you add the soil, you can see roots going down, shoots growing up, and you can keep it a little bit more longer. Without soil, it's still fun, it's still sprouting. It doesn't long as long though. But kids, they become deeply, genuinely invested in the jar. They check it before school, they check it before bed. I've heard from parents whose kids call their grandparents, especially my kids. They call their grandparents, specifically report on projects like these. This is the magic of watching something grow. It's immediate, it is real, and they did it. And a quick pro tip, grab a simple notebook and track it. And if your kids are into drawing, maybe draw it. What it looks like day 1, day 2, day 5. That is basically 2-in-1 activity. It builds a journaling habit really early. Okay, let's move on to the third activity. Planting a Texas pizza garden. This one has a payoff that kids actually can taste, literally. You grow the pizza ingredients. Either you grow tomatoes or just basil with a little bit of oregano, some bell peppers maybe. You tend them together all summer. And then when it's time to harvest, you actually make the pizza. A meal that came from your backyard, from plants and seeds that your kids actually planted with their own hands. What I really love about this activity is what it does for food literacy. When they sit down and eat that pizza, they know not just in theory, but in their bodies that every ingredient came from something they watered and watched and cared for. That is not something you can actually teach from a book. You can only learn it in the garden. This works beautifully in a raised bed, or if you don't have the space, in containers on a patio. Tomatoes and peppers want full sun, not Texas full sun, but yeah, they need 6 to 8 hours of sunlight. Basil will absolutely appreciate the shade. Tuck the basil where it gets some protection from the afternoon sun, and your Texas pizza garden is all set. Okay, let's move on to activity number 4. I really love this one. It's building a bug ranch hotel. I love it because it teaches kids one of the most important things I want every beginner gardener to understand. Not all bugs are the enemy. A bug ranch hotel is exactly what it sounds like. You stack sticks, dried leaves, pieces of bamboo, pine cones, all the materials you want, you would find right in your yard into a cozy little insect habitat. Then you put it somewhere in the garden and you wait for the guests to arrive. The guests you're welcoming are ladybugs, lacewings, beetles. These are the beneficial insects that help keep your garden balanced naturally without chemicals. A single ladybug can eat dozens of aphids in a single day. Let that sink in. When your kids build that hotel, they are learning something that take adult gardeners actually years to even fully understand. That garden is an ecosystem. Your job is not to control it, but to support it. And I'll say this when we get to talk about pests in a few weeks. Your kids are going to be so ahead of the game. They will already know what and when the bugs show up, the question to ask first is not how do I get rid of them, but which side are they on? Okay, moving on. Let's plant a butterfly garden. Maybe even a monarch stopover. This one connects to something bigger than our backyard. Houston sits right on the monarch butterfly migration path. Every single fall, the butterflies travel through our area on their way to south to Mexico. And in the spring, they come back through their way north. What they are searching for, what they need in order to survive the journey is milkweed. Planting milkweed in your yard is one of the most powerful things you can do as a gardener here. And doing it with your kids turns the simple planting activity into a conversation about migration, life cycles, and how completely connected our little backyard is to something that spans thousands of miles across an entire continent. Add a few flowers like zinnias and lantanas alongside the milkweed and watch what happens. Your garden becomes a stop on a journey that is far bigger than your zip code. We just did a whole episode on pollinator gardening. If you really want to go a little bit more deeper on this one. Okay. Those are just 5. There are 10 more where that came from in the free guide, including a garden scavenger hunt with maybe something fuzzy like a lamb's ear, something yellow like a sunflower, a ladybug, an oak leaf. You can even make a wildflower seed ball, a bird watching station for spotting the painted buntings and cardinals and mockingbirds. And you can even make a mud kitchen, which is honestly the best, most glorious mess you will ever let your kids make. All 15 activities free. I'm going to tell you where to find it in just a minute. Okay, before I send you off to the garden, I want to give you the practical piece that makes all of this actually work in our climate, because Texas summer is no joke. It is not like summer anywhere else, and pretending it does not help you. Here's the rule, and it is simple. Before 9 in the morning or after 6 in the evening. That is your outdoor gardening window with kids during a Texas summer. In that window, the heat is manageable, the light is beautiful, and this is the part I love, it becomes a ritual. A morning garden check before the day heats up, an evening water with the kids before dinner. Those 15 minutes become something your family just does. And that rhythm, that showing up consistently, even in a small way, is how actually gardens grow here. During the hottest part of the day, that's your indoor time. Maybe even the jar sprouting, you can do that with your kids. You can create a journal together. You can actually paint some markers, plant markers. All of those happen at the kitchen table with air conditioning. They still count as gardening though. And small spaces, I want to say this clearly because I know so many of you are maybe in rental homes, maybe in apartments, maybe you have such a small yard. You have enough space, even if you have a small yard. A patio with containers holds a snack garden. A pot in the balcony holds a butterfly habitat. A jar on a windowsill holds a sprouting bean. All of it is real gardening. The most important thing, the thing inside the free guide, and the thing I really need you to hear is this. Gardening with kids is more about wonder than perfection. Let your kids lead, even if it gets messy. It is going to get messy. Even if the plant dies. This is where the real magic happens, right here in our vibrant Texas gardens. I still think about that milk bottle herb garden for my kids' pre-K project. Such a tiny start, a repurposed container, a handful. It's not even a handful of seeds, maybe a fingerful of seeds. Kids just pulling, mixing, putting together seeds, just being there. That turned into years of snipping herbs before dinner, snacking in the garden, years of tiny hands in the soil, years of going to the garden as something we just did as a family. And then diaper-clad babies in dirt pulling carrots right out of the ground with absolute delight on their faces. I did not actually plan any of it. It was not in any curriculum. It was just life happening in the garden. That is what I want for your family this summer. Not an amazingly picture perfect garden, not a Pinterest perfect setup, just a little wonder, just a little mud, maybe a little bit of compost too, and a reason to go outside together before the day gets too hot. You got this. I have a free resource to help you get started. Okay. Head to Vibrant Rainbow Garden /15_kids_gardening_activities to download the free checklist. I will link it in the show notes. It has all the 15 activities designed for our weather. It is completely free. And one more thing. If you want to garden alongside your kids with real hands-on guidance this summer, I have something coming soon. Stay tuned. Vibrant Gardeners. Details are coming very soon. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If this episode spoke to you, share it with a mom friend who needs a little summer inspiration. It means everything to this community. And I will see you back here next week. Because the more gardens we grow, the more vibrant our communities become. See ya. Before you go, I have one small ask. And it actually has nothing to do with algorithms or downloads. If this episode made you think of one person, a friend, a neighbor, a fellow parent, or someone who's always said, I want to grow a garden, I want to grow my own vegetables and fruits, I just don't know where to start, would you share this episode with them? This podcast grows almost entirely through word of mouth. And every share helps someone realize that gardening doesn't have to be complicated or overwhelming. It can be gentle, it can fit real life, it can start right where they are. And if you're listening and wondering what kind of gardener you are, or what your next best step actually is, I created a free quiz to help with that. It's called the Growzona Quiz. and it helps you figure out your gardening style, your biggest challenges, and what will actually work for your season of life. Whether you're a total beginner or just need clarity, you can take it at vibrantrainbowgardens.com/quiz, and I will send you personalized guidance right after. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for helping this little garden of a podcast grow. I'll see you in the next episode.